Cinemoddities, late night movies with Rob, Ben, and Zach. This is a podcast about cinematic oddities where we discuss any media that is too bizarre, abnormal, or off-kilter for contemporary audiences. Occasionally these projects gel, most times they crash hard into the realm of obscurity. Join us as we delve into the cult classic swamp. I'm Ben.
And if you don't stop with your Bible shit, I'm going to set you on fire. Runner-up, honorable mention. I had to go with that one. I love that line. I think that's one of the only good lines from this movie. Another one I wanted to mention, though, is I feel like I'm missing something in the research, that there's something I'm not seeing. That's how I feel about this movie, Ben. There's something I'm not seeing. There's a lot of things we're not seeing.
It's a rough movie.
It's really rough.
I will give it that there are some moments in this movie that are funny.
Sure. A handful, sure.
A handful of moments that are funny. I don't know that this movie was supposed to be a comedy, but it was like some kind of weird blend between a comedy and an action movie, I guess.
Yes.
But overall, kind of hard to follow this movie.
Well, I think that you just kind of hit the nail on the head is in saying that this is some weird blend between an action and a comedy. We are, of course, here to finish up the Shane Black series. So Ben and I, on our Patreon, so patreon.com/cinemoddities, Ben and I have covered the other 3 Shane Black movies, which are Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Iron Man 3, and The Nice Guys. This is his most recent film. This is the movie that kind of, got hacked up. I have a lot of context that I want to talk about, and I think this movie is misguided and maligned for a very specific reason. But Shane Black is like an action comedy dude. And, because Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys are both crime capers that are a great blend of noir and comedy, right?
Absolutely.
This seems to be like just so muddled. Muddled might be the best way to put it, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of mention of like the Predators trying to strengthen their evolutionary line and like all this various thing about like autism being the next like superpower or something, and it's just like
deeply offensive.
It's being it's like it's trying to be very intellectual in a way that it is not at all intellectual.
Yes.
And that I find very boring. I wouldn't say that it bothered me from like a fundamental level of being like offended at how like fake intellectual it was.
Sure.
It wasn't doing a good job at being fake intellectual, and it didn't do a good job at hooking my interest in terms of like, why do I care what the Predators are doing with the humans?
Yes.
And there was never any point where it was like, oh, I should actually care about this. There were no stakes to it.
Absolutely. You're 100% right. And I think that this movie has way too many ideas in it that are not fully fleshed out in comparison to when we talked about Wendell and Wild it was bloated. And I think that they actually tried to expand on those ideas in Wendell and Wild. Shout out to Keegan-Michael Key, who's in both of these movies. This was just bloated with ideas that were almost like cut short at every single turn. Every single edit that the movie made, I felt that the movie was just onto a new thing. That makes sense.
Yeah, and not only were they cut short, it's almost as if they took time out of it so that the main military dude, I don't know his name.
Oh, he's a Guy McFace. He's just a generic dude.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Not McKenna. Not the.
Oh, not McKenna. Oh, okay.
No, on the opposing side that like kidnaps McKenna's son.
Oh, Sterling Brown, my favorite performance in the movie.
They gave him, like, they cut up this movie a lot to give him lines that were like supposed to be funny, but they were also redundant.
I think he is the only person in this movie that is dialed into how stupid this movie is.
I agree with that, and I think some of his lines are delivered really well, and I think some of his lines don't fall into that redundant category. But like one in particular, whenever they're mentioning like the dogs, they're like, "Oh, you don't want to know what this is?" He's like, "That guy's a hunter. He brought his dogs," And it's like, we've already established that this dude is hunting the other guy and
Yeah.
that he has dogs. And I was like, what? Like, obviously I know it was the other character group that we established that in, but like the audience doesn't need to see that again. And that line's not very funny.
No, you're absolutely right. It's not funny, but I think that he's delivering it with such like aplomb that, you know, he knows how stupid it is. That's why I think he's dialed in. I mean, he's the one earlier in the movie when Olivia Munn goes to the research laboratory where they have the predator, the first predator, sedated, and he's like, "This is the predator," and she goes, "This isn't a predator. Like, this is a sports huntsman." He goes, "Well, we voted, so fuck you. Predator sounds cooler." And he like laughs to himself, and I'm like, he knows how stupid this movie is.
There are multiple times he laughs to himself, and they are all pretty great.
I love it. I think Sterling K. Brown is a great actor. And like I said, I think he's the only one who is dialed in to how dumb this movie is.
Yes. I actually also have to take a little bit of what, like, I have to like take issue a little bit with the fact that they say it's not a predator.
Okay.
So like a predator kills to survive.
Sure.
And we typically think of predators as killing to eat, but we don't know the conditions that have made these things search the galaxy for stronger mutations.
Mm-hmm.
They very well might be fighting an increasingly hostile environment, so they very well might be killing to survive.
How this is? I'm glad you say that because this leads me into something I wanted to ask you. How familiar are you with the Predator franchise since like the '80s with Predator, with Arnold and type of stuff? You know,
Not at all.
Okay. Is this the only one you've seen? Have you seen like Alien versus Predator? Or
I have seen Alien versus Predator. Yes.
Okay.
And was there another one, Alien versus Predator Requiem or something?
Yeah, there's like 8 movies in the franchise or something like that. Because there's Predator, there's Predators, and then there's like Alien versus Predator Requiem. I think there's like weird alien movies from the 90s that also have like predators and like post-credit scenes and stuff like that, you know?
Oh, wow.
So they've been all over the place. So there's a lot of lore, and I've seen most of them. I don't think I've seen Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
It's not good.
It doesn't sound good, you know? It's not something I'm interested in. But, you know, there's like this notion of the lore of this creature, the Predator, that they do stick to in this movie, like the fact that, you know, in the opening kind of battle scene when the Predator becomes unsedated, doesn't kill Olivia Munn. The Predator like never kills women and stuff like that. So there is like an established continuity. And speaking of which, of Shane Black, of course, who directed this movie, wrote and directed this movie, he's in the original Predator and wrote it as well. I think he gets his head blown off at a certain point.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason that he like got brought back onto this project, because it was like, oh, you know, he did it so well in the original, let's get him back on board type of thing.
What about the thing about them? So I'm sure that the thing about them taking trophies, like the spines as trophies or something, I'm sure that's pretty consistent.
Yes, taking trophies is there. The searching for like the next evolutionary step, never before, as far as I know.
Okay. I do remember in Alien versus Predator, when one of them like kills an alien, it like picks up its acidy blood finger and like carves a number in its arm or something, if I remember right.
Sure.
Or maybe it's on its mask or somewhere.
I think in Alien versus Predator, the woman like helps him kill an alien. Helps him. When I say him, I mean the Predator. I don't know if I'm sorry, I'm gendering to predators. But like then the alien the Predator like burns her face with a war wound or something like that in a sign of respect. Like it's there. There's lore there. This movie just doesn't seem to care about a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that this movie cares about much of anything.
No. So Ben, I know we might be jumping the gun a little bit. As I've mentioned, we've discussed all 4 Shane Black movies. We're in the process of discussing the 4th one. We've done them in chronological order. This is the worst. Would you agree?
By far. By far.
I did not think I was going to say this. Iron Man 3 is miles better than this movie.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And I'm not a Marvel person. So I've already mentioned Sterling K. Brown. I'm going to jump all over the place because this movie jumps all over the place. And that's just how it's going to go. I think Sterling K. Brown is very good in this movie because, like I said, he's dialed into how stupid it is. I think there's another performance that's really good. And I actually want to give some credit to Shane Black. Olivia Munn is really good in this movie, and
That's what I figured you were going to say. Yeah,
he does not cake her in makeup. I think when there are women in these movies, the token female, forgive me if that's offensive, she's the only woman in this movie. I mean, who's the other one? McKenna's wife, who has like two scenes. Yeah. She's not a real character. The fact that they keep Olivia Munn so out of makeup is very interesting to me. Did that stand out to you?
Yeah, she definitely looks. Plain isn't exactly the right word, but like you said, unmade up. Like she looks normal.
Yeah. She looks like, a scientist. She's just like, I don't really, like, I'm not dolled up, I'm not like shot in the face. It's like the Simpsons Marge makeup gun where Homer has like a shotgun filled with makeup and it shoots it at Marge and she's all like, she looks like a clown basically.
Yeah.
Which is what most of these types of movies would do. When you have the token female, they'd be like, oh, well, she needs like deep red lipstick, eyeliner, her hair needs to be all gelled up. And Olivia Munn just looks, like you said, normal.
Yeah, she looks like a regular person.
Gotta shout out to Childish Gambino, texting with Olivia Munn, hoping that she'll give me some. She is very attractive, with or without makeup, absolutely. Ben, do you know who Olivia Munn has a kid with?
No.
John Mulaney.
Really?
Yes, they have a child together.
I did not realize that they were involved.
So there's hope for... I was about to say there's hope for us. Ben's already married. There's hope for me. I'm a fat, ugly man that has nothing going for me other than my comedy and my otoscope that looks in people's ears, There's hope for me, Ben.
I'm surprised by this, that she was... Like, John Mulaney was married until recently, and then I don't know how recently. He got divorced. Do you know if it was pre or...
I think they had their kid in 2021.
Okay, so it was post-divorce.
Yes, more recent. Because Olivia Munn was dating Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers for many years.
That's right.
But then I think they broke up, and then, of course, John Mulaney, got his hooks into her, I guess is the best way to say it.
Do you know if they're still together?
I think they are.
Good for him.
Yeah, good. Yeah, absolutely. And here's the other thing. There's probably no hope for me because John Mulaney is a good-looking dude,
John Mulaney's a good-looking 12-year-old, I guess.
Right on.
No, John Mulaney's funny as fuck, though.
I think that's it. As far as I can go with good performances in this movie, you have Sterling K. Brown as the... And Olivia Munn, they're both scientists.
You didn't think the bullies calling the kid Asperger? You think that was a good performance? When they're just like, I want to eat some ass.
I could go for a nice, juicy ass burger.
Do it.
Oh, shit. Lucky Lou.
EJ, you hungry?
I'm hungry for an ass burger.
Sounds delicious. A nice, big, juicy ass burger.
Oh, yeah. The hell are you doing?
Where are the teachers in that opening scene when they pull the fire alarm and Jacob Tremblay, the main character's son, is played by Jacob Tremblay, when he is freaking out, hiding in the corner because the sounds are too loud? Where the fuck are the teachers? Like, isn't it the teacher's job in a fire alarm situation to get all the students get out, right? Yeah. Oh my god, this movie's so fucking dumb. Jacob Tremblay is easily the worst performance in the movie, the autistic kid.
You telling me whenever he shakes the mask at the bullies after he blows up a house that you didn't think that was a good performance? I
kind of have to say, him blowing up the house with the Predator mask, I have not laughed that hard in a long time.
Oh yeah, that was some funny shit.
There, like you said, there's a handful of good moments, but Jacob Tremblay, I know I've said this to other people on this podcast. I don't think you and I have ever talked about Jacob Tremblay. The one time we did was on the Hoosh episode because he's the little kid in Before I Wake, one of the Mike Flanagan movies that I watched that you didn't. Oh. He sucks. Like, Jacob Tremblay is a horrific child actor. I do not think he knows how to carry screen presence, if that makes sense. And then giving him in this movie, massively autistic. Like, he's not just a quirky kid in this movie. He is massively mentally handicapped, right?
Yeah.
Don't do that. Do not do that. Don't give somebody like this, like, I don't care how good of a child actor people think you are. I mean, it's like it happened once. Haley Joel Osment playing, the I See Dead People kid in Sixth Sense, which is not like a mentally handicapped role, but he had to be awkward and quirky and weird. And Haley Joel Osment pulled it off. Don't think you can do it again with a different kid,
So I'm not one to like beat up children, or make however accurate critiques of their acting abilities.
Ben won't go one-on-one with a kid. He'll go like 1-on-40 with kids, but not one-on-one.
Yeah, with 40 kids, they might have a chance. No, I don't. His acting's not good. I'll give you that. Like it's not great. It's not good even. Some of the stuff he did with the autistic, like not rolling around, like.
I know what you mean.
Walking back and forth and like clapping his head and shit. Like some of that was delivered well.
He does this thing where it's like he can't open his hands fully, and so he's like half fisting and rubbing his ears a lot. Like, yeah, it's really strange.
Oh, and some of that comes across as like those could be genuine tics. Outside of that, I mean, what else is he really doing? I guess he has a few spoken lines. I don't know. It's not good.
No, I'm with you. It's very much not good. And I think that the reason I find it so unlikable as a performance of an autistic child or a mentally handicapped character is, one, that, I think Ben knows this, and I think our cinema audience knows it. I'm not one who's like, oh my God, if you have an autistic person, it needs to be played by an autistic person, I love when it happens. Think of Kira Allen in Run, like she's in a wheelchair in real life, and that gives that performance a lot of depth. But I'm not somebody who says, oh, you need, like when we talked Hoosh, again, like Kate Siegel's not deaf in real life, but she played that to the best of her ability. I think that when Jacob Tremblay plays this autistic person, he is doing the bare minimum in that he's autistic when he needs to be. Like in the scenes where he's rubbing his eyes and he's saying his ears and he's saying things like, oh, yeah, blah 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 blah, mom, whatever the fuck he says. I wrote none of his lines down. I'm just like, okay, you're doing it because Shane Black is telling you, and like now in this scene, you're really autistic, and it's like, no, get the fuck out of here. You're either autistic or you're not.
So that's what I'm gonna push back with is like that. Some of this has to be directing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
So I agree that as the actor, like as an actor, you would expect an adult to take ownership of the fact that their character should be autistic and to insert little tics and things like that throughout the performance.
Sure.
But this is a child, and there's a good chance he doesn't even want to be there. His parents are forcing him to do it. They're stealing all the money. Like, how like children's stars are they don't have a good life typically.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So like, I don't know, how much can you expect from Tremblay?
Nice.
When Tremblay. He's not being told what to do. So if I think whenever you're dealing with a child, like you have to expect they're not going to take ownership of the role in the way an adult would most of the time.
Yes, yeah.
And that you need to be directing them all of the time.
You are 100% right, and I think that getting to that notion, the directing of this character, of Jacob Tremblay, not only in the directing but also the storytelling, the fact that our introduction in that fire alarm scene in the school, very early on in the movie, like minute 7 or something like that, maybe minute 17, because I think the war stuff happens first. The way that we are shown that this autistic child is so smart is that he remembers where all the chess pieces were.
Yeah, on boards he couldn't even see.
Boards he couldn't see, and I think this is a major failing of Shane Black and the directing. I don't know if you picked up on this, Ben. There is a quick moment when Jacob Tremblay picks up all the chess pieces from the floor. When he is putting them back onto the boards, he puts one in between two spaces. Like, there is a pawn that goes on the border between two spaces. So I'm like, oh, so this kid is a moron.
Either that or the people who were playing chess were playing it wrong. And Tremblay remembered
That's
that.
a good. I like that call. Jacob Tremblay's like, these guys are fools, but I can't mess with their board. You know, that type of thing.
Got to put it back the way I found it.
But no, there's 100% a shot where he puts a pawn on the line between two different colored spaces, and it bothered the shit out of me.
That's pretty solid. I think that's good writing, only insofar as there's no fucking way he knew where all the pieces were supposed to go.
Absolutely not. I mean, but that's why I find it so upsetting and bothersome. Is that, you know, this movie is one. I think it is truly offensive to say, oh, autism is the next step in the evolutionary chain. I do think there's a problem with that. I think that is diminishing a real thing that people have and have troubles with their daily life dealing with by using it as a movie trope. I think it's worse when the movie doesn't give it full credit to that extent. I mean, the idea near the end where it's like Olivia Munn going, the Predator, he doesn't want you, he wants your son. Why? Because your son's autistic, you know? And it's like, come on. I don't know. Did you feel as deeply upset by this notion as I did?
No, not beyond. I don't think I felt as deeply upset, and I think the reason is like I look at this and I'm just like, well, this is kind of idiotic. Okay. I can kind of get on board with the idea. It's like, okay, in something kind of relatively similar is that depression is very akin to an introspective state that one enters whenever they are problem solving. Mm-hmm. And so there is some kind of argument for the idea that depression is actually something that evolved naturally, and it just like it's actually a disorder when it is taken too far by the evolutionary process. And that's I'm not saying that's true. It's just a thought that has been, you know, looked into to some degree. I don't know how much.
Sure.
And so whenever it comes to somebody being like, oh, autism, it's like it's a particular adaptation taken too far. Like I can get on board with that. Like that might be a thing, that it's an adaptation taken too far. To then say like, well, that's the next step in the evolutionary chain. It might. I mean, in some sense, it is. It's just maybe not the next good step in the evolutionary chain, because the evolutionary chain is full of steps. Or okay, let's say the chain to where we are now is full of good steps. There were a bunch of branches that didn't make it very far out to the side along the way. Like that's the entire point of evolution.
Yeah, it's more of a decision tree than a linear, you know, connection.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to say that it's the next step in evolution, it's like, well, maybe it is a next step in evolution, and maybe that is something that we're experiencing, is that there's this prevalence of this thing that's autism is what we've named it, mm-hmm. and that is an evolutionary trait.
I think that's where my problem lies, is that if the movie went in that direction and we had some notion of the Predator and the super Predator with dogs that comes in later in the movie, if they were coming to Earth to find these different, you know, changes in the human genome type of thing, that would be interesting. But the movie literally just says it flat out, like, this is the next step in the evolutionary chain. You know?
Well, I expect that if anything, well, no, I guess the Predator does say he's a true warrior or something, which is stupid because he's a child.
Yes,
but I mean, I guess I'm not sure what it is that you're saying would have been the better way to go about it, because I don't know that there is a good way to go about it.
No, absolutely, I'm with you, and that's why I think, you know, the original Predator from the 80s with Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of the most highly respected movies, because it's just, oh, there's these soldiers in the woods and they encounter this creature that's the perfect hunter. And how does a human fight against that type of thing, you know? Mm-hmm. It's very simple. Why add on this nonsense of like, oh, the predators are trying to adapt to our DNA and I mean, even Sterling K. Brown has this thing about, you know, oh, like climate change is going to take over or destroy our world and they're looking to inhabit it. And it's like, you don't need any of that. Just make it a simple, like, every other Predator movie, every other time the Predator has existed, whether it be in just a movie with the Predator or Alien versus Predator, the Predator just wants to hunt for sport. Mm-hmm. Why change that? That's interesting enough. It's an intergalactic killer. Let's just like follow that idea. Why do you need to make it, oh, it's now needing to adapt to how we've damaged our climate and stuff like that? Like, come on, that's stupid.
Well, okay, so I agree that the way they did it is stupid. I do think that the idea of a species that is out there taking parts from other species could be an interesting story.
Sure.
And I think, you know, for them to like the whole thing about the 2 generations till we destroy the planet, like that's some goofy shit anyway. 2 generations is like 60 years.
Yeah.
So like they're saying like in 60 years the planet's going to be unlivable. I mean, scientists have been saying that since, you know, fucking forever.
I know, isn't it from like, I think like 1985 there was a Time magazine cover story that was like, the climate is changing, we will not be alive in 10 years type of thing.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's probably been every 10 years that they've said it was going to be in 10 years.
Exactly.
Since then. I not to underplay that there are things that we could do to better respect our climate, etc.
Sure.
But the idea that this species is feeling some kind of like feeling under the hammer a little bit to really get down here and increase the frequency that they're visiting to find the things. It's like, well, why didn't they find them the first time they were here? Because they don't like.
Yeah.
Why do they need to come back so many times if they're like how many different evolutionary traits you're running into in humans over the course of 30 years,
exactly.
40 years?
Yeah.
Not very many. And, you know, is autism the thing? It's like clearly in the first movie they were going after like the most elite warriors or something like that, right? Like soldiers in the jungle. It's like obviously they want like the most elite fighters of the world.
Yeah. And I think in the movie Predators, which is from like 2010 or 2011, I probably am very wrong on that year, but in Predators, it's like it takes place on a different planet. Like the Predators have captured humans and brought them to hunt on their planet, and it turns out that like the people they've brought to hunt are all like serial killers and stuff like that, you know?
Sure.
And that's interesting. That's like, okay, they're looking at humanity and going like, oh, this is a defect in the human brain that makes these people want to kill. Let's fight them, you know?
I mean, I don't even know. I don't even think I would go so far as to say it's like a defect that makes them want to kill. It's like these people are effective at killing their own kind. Let's see if they're a worthy match.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay.
And I think that's kind of the general idea of what you would expect if they're just like good, sports hunters. Is like let's see if they can put up a fight kind of thing. And I think, you know, there's an argument that could be made that what a good fighter looks like over time changes as, like, I don't know, maybe you can find a way that intelligence becomes particularly useful in a fight against a predator, which I don't know that it would.
Mm-hmm.
You know, since predators are very physical in the way that they encounter you, it's like, what's your intelligence going to do? Maybe you built a suit before the predator came for some reason that doesn't make sense.
Sure, I think you're thinking of since you haven't seen it. It's like in the climax of the original movie, Arnold covers himself in mud to like shield himself from the thermal like vision of the predator type of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's more about like understanding how this other creature, his technology works, so you can use that to your advantage.
Exactly. So like, but even still, it's like throughout this entire process, like it's always been, from the sound of it, it's always been elite warriors. It's always been the people who are likely to put up the best fight, whatever. The jump to the evolutionary farming or whatever it is that you want to call the gathering that they're doing. It's like, okay, maybe I buy that. Maybe they want to take DNA from the strongest things from every species across the galaxy. It's a little weird that they're taking get DNA from things that they are killing effectively, and trying to use that to make themselves stronger. Like, I find that to be a little bit of a strange premise. But then to jump from like looking for elite warriors to looking for this one autistic kid, like I don't buy it.
I'm with you. I think this movie should not have included Jacob Tremblay as this autistic child and him being like the goal of this super predator. Like just fight the ragtag group of, you know, mentally ill soldiers that we follow for most of this movie, you know?
That would have been pretty decent. Why
go a step further than that? Have, you know, like these soldiers are, you know, you got the one who's you got Nebraska, the black guy who's, you know, he shot as
himself
CO.
and
You
then-
got the Tourette's dude. You got Keegan-Michael Key, who's just, dealing with his trauma by making cracking jokes and stuff like that. You got the religious guy. Just do that. Do a ragtag group of soldiers that are outcasted by our species, humans, and make them fight the Predator. The Predator would be like, what's so special about this group of soldiers, right?
Well, I mean, so that's another thing is like the premise or the instantiating event or the instigating event for this movie is that this one Predator wants to help humans, so it's come down here and trying to deliver a suit, and this other super Predator wants to stop it.
Something like that. My eyes were so glazed over after like 50 minutes into this movie.
So, I mean, I agree that you can do what you've said and make this more of just like a Predator versus Ragtag Army Crew. Like that's probably a solid enough movie. Basically, just make it the first Predator movie again, but in a different environment with slightly different characters, maybe even really different characters. You'd have to do away with all of that, which felt like it was leading towards a sequel of humans with this suit fighting predators kind of thing.
Oh, sure.
So it looked like they were writing this for the possibility of there being a sequel. I don't think that you need to include so much for there to be a sequel to this, because like the predators can always just come back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think in like every Predator movie, the main predator like does die at some point,
Right.
So
Yeah.
we know it's a species. It's not like we're seeing the same predator for the last 40 years,
It's, I mean, you make a compelling point. Like they were trying to do something different, and it really fell flat. And I guess I do want to give them a little bit of credit for trying to do something different. But at the same time, I feel like they should have thought about it for more than 4 minutes.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And like I don't know. Let's see. What can you do with this? Like, if you really wanted to make this a thing where they're like hunting down, the best species in the galaxies, like I don't know, maybe they're coming here for a prized human specimen, and they like want to take a specific athlete or something.
Sure.
And then that specific athlete has ex paramilitary bodyguards or something. So then you get that encounter. It's like maybe we get these like goofy, loony army people. If you want to do comedic relief, like I don't.
Sure.
And then like to put a twist on it, it's like okay, so maybe the ship that's here has not yet delivered its other specimens to home. So like then at some point those can break out, and those are also their own kind of fucked up dangerous.
Yes.
Like you can really go somewhere with that.
I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. There's a better version of this movie in if for some reason the Predator we should only have one Predator. The existence of the super Predator in like the last 30 minutes is fucking stupid to me.
I think it was gigantic.
I think that we should have one Predator. It should come down to Earth and go, everybody idolizes Tom Brady. Like Tom Brady is clearly humans' like most perfect specimen.
Or Chuck
the
Norris.
Predator,
I mean,
or Chuck
depending on
Norris,
the year.
anybody,
Yeah.
just choose a celebrity, make it goofy, fun in that way. And then when the Predator comes
The
down,
Rock.
The Rock would be a great
God.
example. Absolutely. I mean, that would be dumb, but I mean, The Rock should.
No, that would be
like
fantastic. Because then the
it
Rock
would be
could set shit straight.
fantastically dumb. Absolutely. But then the Predator comes down and tries to steal the Rock off of Earth, and you have this ragtag group of ex-soldiers that are now like private security guards. Right?
Yeah.
That would be so clean and so fun.
Yeah, definitely clean. I think is the and then like for the third act twist or whatever, you get the release of the other species, or maybe that happens at the end of the second act. You get the release of the other species from the ship, and it's like, oh shit, like the Predator has lost control of the situation, and now the things that he previously hunted down can work against him, kind of thing.
Sure.
And it's like, and then I don't know, maybe the humans work together with something briefly to then be double crossed by it or whatever. Like it doesn't have to be that involved.
No, absolutely. Simple and clean. The Kingdom Hearts song, simple and clean. Simple and easy. That's all this movie needs to be. It does not need to be this fucking discombobulated.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I have to mention, I just wrote this line down. I don't have in my notes where it came from. I think it might be like an hour into the movie or something like that. I had to write it down because it is one of the stupidest fucking lines of dialogue I've ever heard in my life, Ben. he grew an exoskeleton
Under his
his skin,
Yeah.
then it's not a fucking exoskeleton.
That's right. Yep. That's
I
not an
think
exoskeleton.
I nearly broke my television watching this movie when I heard that line. That is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, pseudo-intellectual.
What's the big one, Doc? Is that like the mail?
You didn't even give a shit about us. Just want to kill that thing.
You saw that, right? Guys, did you see that? He grew an exoskeleton under his fucking skin. What are they hunting each other now?
Like they're trying to, like they're throwing out words that they think are intellectual, and they're
Right.
just... Well, and that's even more disappointing because I think it's Olivia Munn that has like 3 PhDs or something. Like Olivia Munn is
Yeah.
not a stupid person.
No. Oh my god. He grew an exoskeleton under his skin.
She had to have thought that line was funny as she was delivering it. Like,
Yeah, it's one of those moments where I'm pretty shocked that they got a solid take out of that line reading,
like if she had said it grew armor under its skin,
Perfect.
I don't know how she knew that, but yeah,
Fine.
perfect. Yep. Yeah.
Calling
grew-
it an Oh my god, Ben.
Yeah.
Oh
that's,
my god.
That's under the skin is like the one place exoskeletons aren't allowed to be.
It makes me irate even talking about it now.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. I believe like that's when they first encountered the super predator with its dogs, and it just killed the original predator.
Yes.
And they're
yes.
like, it doesn't even care about us. And then she's just like, oh my god, it's so super. And then that's where that line comes in. That's pretty stupid.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've said a lot of negative things about this movie. I do want to give it some credit. I think there are, like you said earlier, a handful of decent scenes. I want to mention, I think it's a Keegan-Michael Key line, because Nettles is the one guy in the ragtag group of soldiers that's religious, and after they first encounter the Predator, Nettles says something like, "Oh, it's like a creature from the Bible or something like that," and Keegan-Michael Key says, "It's from the Bible? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It's a space alien." I have to say, good line. Keegan-Michael Key's a funny dude, and he's used to some good effect in this movie, right?
Sure. One line that sticks out to me particularly, there's some setup where Tremblay asks his dad, he's like, Mom says you're a killer. And he says something like, I'm a soldier. And he's like, well, what's the difference? And he's like, well, I don't enjoy killing. And then later, they have been like kidnapped by somebody. And McKenna, the adult McKenna, says to one of his captors, like as he's taking him down, like I'm going to have to before he takes him down, like I'm going to have to apologize to my son. And the guy says, for what? And then like during the struggle, he's like, for lying about enjoying this or something. And I was like, that was pretty solid. Like that was pretty badass.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you can feel, I think now, when I say you, I mean you specifically, Ben, having, watched all the other Shane Black movies, you can tell that his sensibilities are there, like he has that quippiness. I mean, I think that's why Robert Downey Jr. in like Iron Man 3 and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang works so well, because Shane Black knows how to write the quips for somebody like a Robert Downey Jr. It's just kind of a shame that whoever plays McKenna, Guy McFace as I called him, he's just a generic blonde man. He doesn't have the quippiness that Robert Downey Jr. does,
That's true, but I mean, that particular line that I just mentioned, like I think it comes across as like funny and badass anyway.
Sure.
Even with maybe a lack of like the best delivery it could have, but it definitely got a chuckle out of me.
Oh no, absolutely. I really I think when Nebraska is first introduced on the bus, when adult McKenna is put on the bus, McKenna says something like, why are you here? And he says, went to Iraq, and he says something like, went for the Taliban, stayed for the opium.
Yeah.
That's a good line. That's a solid line.
Definitely. Some jokes that kind of fell flat from like Keegan-Michael Key to Bexley, I think. He's like, maybe that was the point, but he's just like, what's the difference between what is it, 5 dicks and a joke?
Oh, 5 black guys and a joke.
Right.
His mom can't take a joke or something like that. Yeah.
So, like there's a bunch of like just straight up like set up punchline jokes like that.
How do you circumcise a homeless man? Kick your mom in the chin.
Yeah. Like that one's actually kind of funny.
I have to agree. I don't feel good about laughing at it, but I laughed at it.
Yeah. So I mean, they're juvenile, I would say.
Yes, juvenile is a really good way to put it. Yeah, absolutely.
Some of them are kind of okay anyway.
Probably my favorite gag in the movie. It's a visual gag, and I think it might be my favorite because it's not like pointed out or, you know, there's no double dialogue to really explain what happens. It's when the predator holds up the disembodied arm, and the guy driving the truck is like, "Is everything good back there?" And the predator holds up the thumbs up with the disembodied arm. I'm like, that's fun, you know.
That was pretty goofy. I like that as well. There's another line. What'd you say his name is? Sterling Brown.
Oh, Sterling Brown. Yeah.
He delivers it.
How tall?
Witnesses say 11 feet.
It's pretty fucking tall. Okay. Fuck that nigga up.
Sir?
No.
Yes. Yes.
It's great.
I kind of like took a double take. I was like, did they really just like drop the N-word? Like, was this improv? You know?
and then like the dude's like, what? And he's like, oh, nothing.
Nothing.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of which, another good thing, Sterling Brown's death in this movie. He has the shoulder gauntlet on.
Yes.
The
he just,
shoulder
like,
gauntlet
looks
blows
sideways.
his own head off. That is
Yeah.
great. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's what I'm saying. I think the Shane Black sensibilities are there. I think that this movie is so muddled that they don't come through in a way that, you know, because like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys, those are hilariously dark movies, you know?
Oh yeah.
This movie had the chance to be that, but isn't, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, even between Sterling Brown and Guy McFace, like there's the line where he's just like, "We're still gonna dance after this," and Sterling Brown says, "I already got my shoes picked out."
Yes.
Like there's some good moments back and forths, you know, and some good badass moments where like we should be like, oh yeah, like the main character or Nebraska or whoever is like, oh man, like they're actually kind of badass, but it doesn't carry the movie though.
No, not at all. And I think this is the time to bring it up. I don't know how much research you did into this, Ben, but this is a 2018 movie. There's a slew. We're late to the party. We're doing it because, you know, Ben and I have this weird affection for Shane Black. He has a small filmography. He's a great writer when he wants to be, it seems. He's basically the reason that Robert Downey Jr. is a thing, you know, with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, as we talked about on Patreon. This movie, it is factual. This is an actual thing that you can read about, was reshot to death. Shane Black made this movie, and the studio got cold feet and made him reshoot, I think, somewhere between 60 to 75% of it.
Oh my god.
So this movie is a Shane Black movie. He's still credited as the director, of course, and the writer, but you can read a lot of stuff on the internet about how barely anything in this movie is what he originally wanted it to be. So we do have to give some credit to Shane Black for trying to make this movie that we've kind of just been shelling out in the last, you know, like 10 minutes or whatever. But the studio really, you know, strong-armed him in this case. There's some examples that I want to throw out. I think specifically, Olivia Munn becomes part of the team of the ragtag group of soldiers. She is not in the scene when they go and talk to McKenna's wife at all. That's when I think she's off taking care of the kid or something like that. Maybe, no, it's even before that. She's just in the RV for no reason, you know? Mm-hmm. That screams reshoots to me, is that they couldn't get Olivia Munn. They needed this scene. And that scene also comes across as very boilerplate and very, you know, stock, because that's the scene where, one of the other soldiers says, like, tell me about your husband. And she just rattles off his resume. And it's like, okay, you are literally an exposition machine right now.
She says something like 23 engagements and 13 confirmed kills. I'm like, God damn, like he did not kill as many people as he should have, I think, when I'm listening to this.
I don't know either, but that seems very low to me.
Because I'm pretty sure Pop Pop had 37 confirmed kills, so...
Nice. But, I mean, did you get that sense? I know maybe you didn't know in the moment when you were watching this movie that there were so many reshoots, but a lot of this movie does seem like canned, almost like studio editing.
Well, I mean, now that you pointed out, like, Olivia Munn not being there, that does scream reshoot. I'm curious. Like, I would actually be interested in watching the original cut.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
because I'm
release
sure
the
it would-
Shane Black cut. Oh, of
I'm
course.
sure it would be a lot better.
My question, I'm with you. I think it would be a lot better because I think it would let Shane Black, be Shane Black. I mean,
Right.
the two movies of his that are him unadulterated are Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys, and those movies are, like I said, darkly hilarious. I mean, Ben, not to spoil anything, everybody should go check out the Patreon. But that scene in The Nice Guys, in the first 15 minutes, when Ryan Gosling tries to punch out the window and ends up slicing his wrist open and has to go to the hospital.
That's a
it's
great
like,
time.
this is so subversive and so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Why isn't this movie as subversive and funny? And I think is because the studio, seeing The Predator as this big franchise, this IP that they want to control, they didn't let Shane Black do that thing where he's able to do that on these one-offs like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys.
Is there any kind of like formal word or just any kind of like even anecdotal evidence or any anecdotal stories about like what was removed or what was reshot?
Maybe not that I could find. I didn't do like the biggest dive into stuff like that. I think Shane Black, of course, after Iron Man 3, he was, trying to stay in good graces of the studio system. So I think when this movie was coming out, he didn't have like a lot of negative things to say. It'd be interesting to see if he ever gets to make another movie again, what he would say about this. I think he was very much, playing ball with the studios when this movie was doing press and stuff like that.
Well, that's upsetting. I would love.
Yeah.
I now that you mention it, it's like this movie, the fact that it feels so discombobulated very much could be because of reshoots.
Oh,
like,
I honestly feel that way. Absolutely. Yeah.
if they're just like cutting things out and putting things in, it's like, well, that you're gonna get a jumbled mess at the end of it, and that's what this movie comes across as. So, yeah, I mean, I'm very, very much interested in what the original version was supposed to be.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the one scene that really like screams Shane Black to me in this movie, as we're of course talking about Shane Black, is when Olivia Munn wakes up in the bed and all the guys are just standing around her and they all like post up and they're like, we got to be proper, that type of thing. And then Olivia Munn grabs the shotgun and Keegan-Michael Key is like, pay up, $10 everybody. I told you she was going to grab it, and I think that's one of the more fascinating moments in the movie because you're doing something with like the male to female dynamic. You're doing something with, this jokey subversive nature of these guys being like, oh, well, we want her on the team, but she's not going to like us at first. I think that's the only moment where something fascinating is happening. Everything else to me, like when you get the super predator, when you get the predator dogs, that all screams to me as like, oh, the studio said we need action. We need moments, we need a trailer type of thing.
Yeah, I'm totally with you about like the Super Predator and Predator dogs, especially. Those are things that it seems like a studio would put in there just to make like a bigger deal, a bigger splash.
Yeah.
I think very much so in that same scene with Olivia Munn waking up, and they're like putting a bunch of like stuff on the bed with her. They're like, and somebody asked him like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm trying to make her comfortable."
Yeah,
he's just like putting like a bunch of like garbage and stuff with like he's like turns some foil into a unicorn and I don't know, puts like some like vending machine chips or something with her. And I'm trying to make her comfortable. That's some funny shit.
That's the thing I think that upsets me so much about this movie. I mean, as we're talking about all these Shane Black movies, after seeing him, I think Iron Man 3 a little less so because that's in the Marvel machine. But like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys, you can see that he is an auteur. He has ideas, And to see him so neutered in this movie and it being such just like a Hollywood, popcorn crunch machine is just upsetting. I would be better if this was a really good movie or a really bad movie. I mean, this just being something that it's like clearly the studio interfered with, that's deeply upsetting to me.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, and if we got to see what Shane Black wanted to do, whether it was successful or not, we could at least hopefully look at it and be like, yes, this feels like Shane Black.
Exactly,
because that's something, this movie does not feel like Shane Black. It doesn't feel like anything at all like any of the other three movies we've seen.
Right? Yeah, and I'm glad you can agree with me on that, after watching the other three, is that even Iron Man 3, he got his he got his voice in there. I mean, we talked about it on Patreon, but the idea that Iron Man is not in his suit for like 50% of that movie, that's incredible. That's interesting. I mean, the whole thing with the Mandarin not being the Mandarin type of thing, you know?
Right.
Like, he got his voice in there, and here it was like they just stripped everything away, and it was like, no, I mean, the better version of this movie, if maybe it's in the Shane Black cut, is that the Predator is maybe not even a real Predator. Maybe the idea of the Predator versus the Super Predator is something that a studio, you know, wanted, or the studio Fox wanted, or something like that. I would have loved to see Shane Black be like, oh, the Predator in this movie that comes to Earth is the autistic Predator. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
right. Yeah,
it's the dumb version of a Predator that can't do anything right, and he just got sent to Earth because Earth is dumb, or something like that.
right. Yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, even having it where like it was something that stole a Predator ship, and you know the thing that was chasing it is an actual Predator who knows that it like stole a Predator ship. You know, like that could have been interesting.
Make it something like the Invader Zim motif. I don't know when the last time you saw Invader Zim was, Ben, but the premise of Invader Zim is that Zim is like the stupid version of his species that gets sent to Earth, you know?
Yeah.
Like, why not do something like that with this movie? Like, oh, the Predator that gets sent to Earth who's chasing this autistic kid does not know what he's doing.
Yeah. And I mean, it could have gone a bunch of different ways, and it could have had Shane Black's influence more heavily involved in, I think.
Absolutely. And that's all I want. You know, I don't this movie's bad for the reasons I've explained. I just want, if you have a creative force, someone as strong as Shane Black, I think, and you neuter him in the way that they neutered this movie and reshot it, and it comes across as just like a trailer, that's deeply upsetting to me. It really reminded me of Suicide Squad. Did you see the Will Smith one with Jared Leto as the Joker, where like every character has 7 introductions and the whole movie's a trailer, basically?
Yes, I did watch it. That's a rough movie.
Yeah, this came across to me the same way, where it was just like, oh, you know, here's another big action set piece. Here's another moment that we can put in the trailer. Like the Predator dogs really made me think that way. It's just very upsetting. Like, I just want people to get to create. That's all I want.
Sure. Yeah, unfettered creativity. Like I said earlier, you know, it could go good, it could go bad.
Sure.
But when it goes good, it's going to be better than what the studio wants. And when it goes bad, it's probably going to be worse than what the studio produces. So, I mean, at least we'll have something to talk about as opposed to just being like,
exactly,
it's like
exactly.
Canned stock footage.
The other thing I want to talk about is that, you know, reshoots or not, I really don't know because, like I said, there's no real like specific information about this. Our entire group of ragtag soldiers basically die. They all die at the end. You know?
Yeah, everyone except McKenna.
Yeah, one of them, I think Nebraska, right, on the ship, jumps into a turbine purposefully.
Oh, that I actually thought was pretty neat because he was going to die either way. He was falling off of the ship, and he saw a way to fuck up the ship on his way out. I thought that was pretty cool.
But what Thomas Jane and Keegan-Michael Key, they both die. They have like this weird camaraderie at the end where one of them's like, we'll stay behind, and Keegan-Michael Key is like, we will? Okay, I guess, you know, and then they end up getting cut in half or something like that, you know. Yeah,
well, one of them's impaled on a tree, the other one's like disemboweled, and then they like shoot each other.
Yes.
On their way out.
Yeah, that's right. But I find that's one of the other things I think that bleeds through. That's a very Shane Black thing, that all these people end up dying, you know. Well,
and that their camaraderie apparently has something to do with the fact that Keegan-Michael Key was responsible for like blowing up the vehicle that Bexley was in when he was like injured.
They do mention something about that, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I think when they mention it, I'm just so glazed over at that point, you know.
Fair enough, but yeah, I definitely found some kind of, I don't know, I found that kind of interesting, the camaraderie that they had, because like instead of going the route of like, I fucking hate you, you murdered everyone, he was like, you know, this was a terrible thing that happened to both of us, kind of thing.
Once again, I think if let to his own devices, or, you know, had a little less studio interference, that's a Shane Black hallmark. Like Shane Black, all his movies, you know, think of Val Kilmer and Robert Downey Jr., Big Gay Perry and Robert Downey Jr. in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling in The Nice Guys. It's two people that really just seem to hate each other, but when they need to, they come together type of thing. Like, that's one of the things he writes best, and let that shine through. And it does not get the chance to shine through in this movie. And when Keegan-Michael Key and Thomas Jane come together in this last few moments, I'm like, where was this the whole fucking movie? Like, let the wholesomeness shine through.
Right.
It's a bummer. Or were there any other moments? This is kind of the thing. I think that you said it very well last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, Ben. Is that we should not finish up our thoughts on a director or anything on the main feed. We should start them and then finish them on Patreon, because one, that gets people interested in listening to our Patreon more. But I feel really upset that this is the Shane Black we're ending on.
Yeah,
It's a
maybe
bummer.
we should. Maybe as a maybe a response to that, we should actually just go watch all the Shane Black movies again and do a Patreon episode.
Rest of
about...
the month, we just do the other. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we could do the movies he's written. So, like, Hunt for Red October, Lethal Weapon, stuff like that, like A Long Kiss Goodnight, He does.
Sure.
We finished his directorial efforts, but it's kind of a bummer because, I mean, we haven't been going for that long. We're basically a little over an hour. And it's like, there's nothing else to say about this movie. It's so upsetting to me, Ben.
Right.
But did you have any other moments or any other dynamics that you want to talk about with this movie? Or, I mean, we could also probably fill some time just talking about Shane Black in general. And he hasn't made a movie for 4 years. I think that, him getting so strong-armed and having to do reshoots by Fox, by the studio, which is now Disney, of course. Who knows if he's ever going to get to make another movie again? That's the other bummer, is that he is basically one of those directors who's like a one for me, one for them. So he makes Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which was one for him, like that was his passion project type of thing. Goes on and makes Iron Man 3 because Robert Downey Jr. Basically says, "Oh, Shane Black, he's a guy, he's helped me out, I want to help him out." Comes back with The Nice Guys. I don't think I've ever heard one bad thing about The Nice Guys. Everybody loves that movie, it seems.
It's a great movie.
Then he makes this, and he gets strong-armed by the studio. I think that this might, I hate to say it, this might be it. If he does not get somebody in his corner, like, say, Jordan Peele did with Henry Selick, Shane Black might not ever get to direct a movie again, and that's a fucking shame. A Shane Black.
Shane Black, yeah. It would be horrible if we don't get another Shane Black movie.
We need him to come back with, clearly, he needs to make crime movies. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Nice Guys are where he functions best. We need him to do stuff like that. I mean, Iron Man 3, I think, was a fluke. He made it his own thing, which I'm very happy with, but it is still a Marvel movie. Kevin Feige at the helm and stuff like that. This was, like we said at the start, just a comeback to form because he wrote the original Predator, he's in the original Predator, that type of thing. Just let him make crime movies. Hell, Ben, I know it's kind of like the worst form of director jail, maybe the second worst other than never making a movie. Dude, I would watch if Shane Black announced, like, tomorrow that he's making a crime movie straight to Hulu. I would watch the shit out of it, and I would be super excited about it.
Yeah, same. Maybe he should,
Yeah. What I mean, I know you're not as not to say this in a negative way, but you don't follow the trades and read all these Hollywood insider stories like I do because I'm a nerd about the movie business. That's what Anish Chaganty and Sev Ohanian did after they made Searching, which was a theatrical movie. They made Run. Run went straight to Hulu. And Run's one of the best movies we've ever fucking seen. So, like, Shane Black, do that. If that's the avenue that you're going to be allowed to go into, just do it. We want to see you make another movie.
Yeah.
Henry Selick did it with Netflix after he got strong-armed by... This is actually really interesting. Henry Selick got strong-armed by Disney. Remember we talked about it, they canceled 2 of his movies. Disney wrote off $80 million because they were oh, you like, our sensibilities don't match, and fuck yourself, Disney. Shane Black seems to be the same thing. I mean, who else would let Shane Black make a movie? Not Disney. Disney's too, like, clean cut, to make a crime noir that Shane Black wants to make or something like that.
Yeah. I think it could happen. I think it would be kind of an amazing thing if it did. Shane Black producing anything else, on Netflix or Hulu or wherever. I don't know if we should expect it though. But I would love to see like Shane Black and Ice Harvest, like make a movie like Ice Harvest.
Yeah, absolutely. A crime caper with a good level of comedy. That's his wheelhouse for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Dark comedy, of course. I wonder, I mean, he got Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. Like, when The Nice Guys came out in, 2016, Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling are big names. Like, he got to work with them. Now that RDJ isn't doing Iron Man anymore, wouldn't that be cool to see him and RDJ together, of course? What else?
Well, and that would be, actually, now that you mention it, RDJ might be the guy who can bring Shane Black back.
He's the one who has the star power, because I would imagine that, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. did Doolittle after Avengers Endgame or whatever the fuck it was, and nobody liked that. If RDJ was like, hey, I have a script, maybe not a script he wrote, but he found a script, and he goes to Shane Black and he's like, this is the guy I want to make this movie, someone would finance that, like a Hulu, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Hulu would jump at the chance to be like, oh my God, Robert Downey Jr. wants to make a movie that we can say is exclusively on Hulu. That would be great.
Yeah, so I mean, get RDJ, get an Ice Harvest like story, and Ice Harvest or Nice Guys or Kiss Kiss Bang like like story, and put them back together. I mean, give us a Kiss Kiss Bang Bang sequel for fuck's sake, like. Give us something way later in Harry's life.
I just want to hear Robert Downey Jr. say, "You slept with Chuck Chutney." I want to hear him say that again in a movie.
You said you wouldn't.
Before we do this, I have a little confession to make.
My best friend? You said you were just going to drop by his house. You were going to wave goodbye. Some way.
I was leaving for LA, Ari. I was never going to see him. He looked sad.
He looked sad?
Yes, he did.
You slept with Chuck Chutney.
Oh, fuck, for Christ's sake, Harry. It was forever ago. Come on, I was a different person back then.
Yeah, you slept with Chuck Chutney. Excuse me.
Harry, come on.
You want your hand?
Harry!
You slept with Chuck Chutney?
Yeah, that would do it. That would be the way to get him back.
Hey, kids. We did not know this at the time of recording this episode, but it turns out that Shane Black is in pre-production on a movie tentatively called Play Dirty, which is going to star Robert Downey Jr. We can only hope something good comes of that.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe also, what's Harry Lockhart? What's his... Val Kilmer?
Val Kilmer. Well, unfortunately, Val Kilmer has throat cancer and can't really speak anymore in real life. That's why he's not in movies at all anymore, which is a bummer, because I think Val Kilmer's a great actor. Notoriously one of the most difficult people to work with.
Oh.
Apparently he is a huge asshole.
That's because he's knee-deep in pussy all the time.
That's why they call me Big Gay Perry. Oh, Ben, okay, so we've mused enough about Shane Black. It's a bummer. He's one of my favorite directors, even though he's only made 4 movies. I think this is where I want to go, Ben. Before we get to our questions, we should do, because we're finishing it up on this main feed episode, our rankings of the Shane Black movies. There's only 4, so it's easy, It's like Henry Selick. There's only 4, now 5, thankfully. Wendell and Wild. Hey, if Henry Selick was able to make another movie, Shane Black can make another movie. And I'm still holding out hope that Paul Bartel will make another movie, even though he died like 20 years ago. So, Ben, I actually want to throw it over to you. I know I'm putting you on the spot, even though I think you should have expected this. Go from bottom to top. There's 4 Shane Black movies. How do you rank them?
Easy bottom, Predator.
Okay.
Next 2 are tough. Iron Man and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. They're competing for that second and third spot.
Okay.
And then Nice Guys at the top.
I think that I am in full agreement with you. Number 4, probably actually, let me say number 50, The Predator. Then there's a lot of blanks. I mean, there's just a lot of empty space. Like, there's miles between number 3, Iron Man 3. Even though Iron Man 3, everybody go check out our Patreon, that's one of the few times I saw a Marvel movie and I was like, Ben, this is pretty good. Like, have I been sleeping on Iron Man 3, Number 2, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Number 1, The Nice Guys. The Nice Guys, even though, if Ben, you remember our conversation back on Patreon, I really dislike the daughter character,
Right.
the movie still succeeds, like in lieu of that, I should say.
Absolutely.
That movie is so fucking funny. That movie is so dark. Russell Crowe beating up the pedophile, the weed dealer at the beginning, who's like sleeping with like a 15-year-old girl, is one of the best scenes ever, I think. and Ryan Gosling, I've never seen Ryan Gosling do what he's done in a movie other than that one. Like, Ryan Gosling, you think of Drive, Nicholas Winding Refn's Drive, where he's like really reserved and stoic and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Gosling is such a goofy goober in The Nice Guys.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. It is something everybody should check out if you haven't seen The Nice Guys. I think it's on Netflix, if I remember correctly. I think I got like an email from Netflix maybe like a year ago, and it was like, The Nice Guys coming to Netflix, and I was like, I've seen that movie.
That's great if it's on Netflix. I'll probably watch it again.
Yeah, it's really good. Do you remember the whole gag in The Nice Guys of the assassin being called John Boy? And, and there's the part where like the daughter's friend says something like she gets the phone call at the house, and it's like, he said that John Boy is coming from the Waltons.
Yeah.
The movie is very funny.
I still think my favorite thing from that movie is when Ryan Gosling is just like, I'm fucking invincible. That's the only explanation.
That's right. And that movie has so much to do with coincidence, as we talked about in our Patreon episode. Like, everything good or bad happens to our characters by coincidence and is fascinating. Yeah. Shane Black, great artistic mind, great director, great writer. Maybe that's the thing. I know we have Ben Stiller to cover on the Patreon as well, because we've done The Cable Guy. We have to cover his other few movies, but I mean, maybe we should check out some of the Shane Black written stuff, because we're out of his directed stuff, and this one's a bummer to leave it on. I mean,
absolutely,
Predator sucks.
Yeah, it's real bad. So.
It's not a fucking exoskeleton if it's under your skin. God damn it.
This is maybe the definition of a turn your brain off movie.
Oh yeah, and not even like voluntarily. Like, this movie involuntarily turned my brain off. Yeah, that's a good point.
But that was something, like, as I was watching it, there were times where I was like, am I still paying attention? Like,
yeah, I think it's when one of our characters says, Olivia Munn, you're a lady, take care of my child. And I'm like, right. Okay, I'm done. Actually, probably Predator Dogs. That's when I was just like, okay.
Yeah, Predator Dogs are
okay. Like, whenever we watch these movies and I'm taking my notes, I'm usually sitting upright on my couch, of course, with my laptop, on my lap, because it's a laptop. I think the Predator Dogs, I was like, okay, I can lay down for this,
I just imagine you being like, there's a laptop on his head.
Oh my God, discombobulated as fuck. Well, Ben, if there is nothing else that you had for this episode, any other moments or any other Shane Black thoughts you had, are you ready for our questions?
I suppose so.
Okay. It's a shorter episode, which I'm thankful for. I mean, I'm always thankful for easier editing. But Cinemodities and Late Night. Cinemodities, I actually kind of want to say yes, because this movie is such a discombobulated mess. This is quite possibly the textbook definition, studio interference and reshoots and just a failing of a movie. So I think it is odd for that sense. Late Night, absolutely not. I never want to watch this again, and I would never subject anybody to this. What do you think for Cinemodities and Late Night?
I am probably going to have to fall in line on this one. It is odd. It's a very weird thing that I had to sit through. And I'm not going to ever make anyone else sit through it.
Fair.
I couldn't bring myself to do that to someone.
Okay, we're in agreement. Right on. Oh, before we get to snacks, another moment that this is going to lead into snacks. One of the snacks I had very early on in this movie, our main character, Guy McKenna McFace, whatever the fuck we're calling him, he strong arms a Brazilian bartender into mailing alien technology to his home?
To a P.O. box.
To a P.O. box, but which goes to his son somehow.
That then the PO box runs out of funding and they take it to his kid.
Yes.
Like that was really dumb.
Okay. So I don't know. I don't think it says in the movie if he mailed it through like USPS or UPS or FedEx. I don't think it matters. Like independent carriers, like a FedEx or a UPS or something, don't they check the stuff that they're sending?
No.
Like wouldn't you have to? Okay, you have to be picking up what I'm putting down here, Ben. There's no way that you could send alien technology through the mail and just have it go completely unnoticed, right?
Customs is the only place where it would be
which it should go through because he's sending it from a different country.
That
right?
I agree with, but FedEx isn't going to do shit. It's just customs.
You're probably right. You're probably right about that. FedEx don't give two fucks.
No, FedEx is like, if you say it's not explosive, we trust you, and if it explodes, it's your fault. Like,
if you say it's not explosive, it's your fault. I like that.
so FedEx isn't going to do shit about that. UPS isn't. USPS might randomly screen some packages, but no, the customs is going to have to catch it. That's all it comes down to.
Okay.
And as far as customs is concerned, that might just be like a fancy metal mask.
Ooh, oh, well, okay, that's fair. I guess I was thinking that there has to be like some... This was me giving the movie too much credit. This was very early on, so before I glazed over and turned my brain off, or I was forced to turn my brain off, I was like, wouldn't this shit be like radioactive? Like, wouldn't it trigger some type of alarm as you were mailing it between countries? I found that very unbelievable, Ben. And then I learned that I should not care because the movie does not care. But anyway, in that opening scene, this leads me to my first snack. Guy McKenna McFace, whatever we're calling him, like I said, he swallows a big metal ball in Don Julio whiskey. Or tequila, or whatever it is. The Don Julio product placement is so strong. There is a direct shot of the label of that bottle of liquor. But I think that we should have a metal ball shot or something like that. You know, you can order a shot and it comes with this big metal ball, and you just got to like take it like a champ. What do you think?
It's pretty solid. I mean, I think that there should be like a 2 or 3% chance that it's lead, so it just gives you lead poisoning when you take it.
I like that. Yeah, just a lead marvel type of thing.
Yeah.
Continuing on from also early in the movie, a nice big juicy ass burger.
Oh, the ass of what animal? Or are we actually going to cut up people with autism and feed them to strangers?
We could do either. I'm actually realizing, even though I said it a few times in this episode, that's a South Park gag. Do you remember the South Park episode where Cartman learns about Asperger's and he thinks it's literally like you have cheeseburgers in your pants?
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so now I'm thinking that if somebody orders a nice big juicy ass burger, the waiter just pulls out like a wrapped McDonald's cheeseburger from his underwear or something like that.
Yeah, straight up out of his pants. I'm pretty on board with that.
Have you heard the this is a total tangent, but have you heard the joke? I've only seen it a few times on the internet. It should actually be more out there. It'll just be like a static shot, like an image, not a video, of like a bite taken out of a McDonald's cheeseburger, but while it's still in the wrapper. And the caption on the picture will be, "Do you eat your cheeseburgers with or without the skin?"
Solid.
Maybe
funny.
I
have seen this.
Very funny.
Yeah.
Do you eat your Asperger's with or without the skin, Ben?
I've never had to think about it. I always eat it without the skin.
That's fair.
I didn't eat. Some burgers don't even come with skins. They come in this like weird box thing.
Sure.
As I'm getting older, they take the skins off for me. You know.
They are better restaurants than ours. I have written down, because I'm pretty sure in the scene where they go to visit McKenna's wife, which Olivia Munn is just vacant from, the British guy, I think he's British, he might be like Scottish or something, one of the ragtag group of soldiers with the accent, he's just eating pickles out of a jar. And I'm pretty sure the wife says something like, why are you raiding my fridge or something like that.
Yeah.
So just pickles, because pickles are good.
Pickles.
Yeah. What do you got? I got one snack left, but it's very obscure. What do you have for the restaurant, Ben?
I think we should have compromising situations with fake weapons that people like we can just see if their response is to grab the weapon or not.
Okay, when you say
So-
fake, do you mean like unloaded or just like
Unloaded,
truly
unloaded. Yeah, like I mean, it could be an unloaded gun. It could be a plastic knife.
fake? Sure.
you know,
I was about to
whatever.
say, is it one of those knives that
Retracts.
retracts in on itself? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so like we just trank random customers, and then we do like a betting pool on how they'll react when they wake up.
Speaking of the trank gun, isn't there a line in this movie? I don't think I wrote it down, but now you when you said it, you're like, doesn't someone say, "You gonna kill us with a trank gun?" And the guy says, "You took my boy, so yeah." And it's like,
Yeah,
like your anger at this man is not going to make the trank gun more lethal. Like, what does that
Well,
line even mean?
well, he does shoot him in like one of the guys in the eye, which
That's right. Okay. Yeah, it's coming back
presumably
to me now.
would make that a brain shot. But
Yeah. This movie's so stupid.
I think we need to have exoskeletons, like real exoskeletons.
Not endoskeletons that are called exoskeletons.
That's right. Yeah, so people can see what exoskeletons are. Just like a little learning exhibit thing. It's like we'll have some like beetles and stuff.
Oh,
like
sure. Like when you go to a museum and you see like, the parts of the body type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, this is okay, class. This is what an exoskeleton actually is. And in the TV that you can hit the button to play like a small clip of this movie, and it goes, "This is what an exoskeleton isn't."
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
I dig it. I dig it.
We should also just hire some staff to run around with. And we'll have to hire children also, which kind of sucks because they're difficult to work with. But we get them to like run around and pretend that they're in firefight situations, and they just like the male that's staff member that's with the child goes up to random women and is like, "Take care of my child."
You're a woman. You're a babysitter, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So like that's just like a kind of a random experience you might get to have while you're in the restaurant.
I dig it. I mean, that's one of the things, women in my life, I think women in your life as well, they always talk about the fact that there are just times when men come up to them and force children on them, It just happens. It's a bummer.
It's part of life. I mean, that's the duty.
Part of life.
That's the duty you sign up for when you select your gender at conception.
Absolutely. When you select your gender.
That's right.
The last snack that I had, speaking of Olivia Munn, I think it has something to do with the Predator dogs. She says she wants a goddamn sample.
Oh, yeah.
So just a goddamn sample. I don't know what that means, but on the menu we should have an item that's just called a goddamn sample.
I believe that the end result of that is she gets part of a scarf that has alien blood on it.
Yes. Something like that.
So maybe we do something like that with the goddamn sample.
The goddamn sample. Okay. Well, if you have another snacks, Ben, we did it. This movie is deplorable.
It might even be the whole basket.
I really dislike this movie, and it's a bummer that I remember I had seen this before, watching it for this recording. I mean, I'd seen it, maybe 3 years ago or whatever. I do not remember disliking it this much. I think you said something along the lines earlier about that,
Yeah, I saw it in theaters, and I thought it was okay, maybe even fun. And then I watched it again, and I was like, I don't know what state I was in at that time. Because this is not the same movie. It can't be.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess then, since the movie does it, the movie kind of has a post-credit scene where they get the Predator killer suit. Am I remembering this correctly?
Is that supposed to be post-credits? I don't really remember.
I don't know if it is exactly post-credits, but it's definitely like the epilogue of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It attaches itself to a scientist, and he's like, "No, help me, get me out!" And then it falls off of him.
Yes,
and it just looks like a metal predator.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Fucking stupid. I just found in my notes. I want to mention this. Very early on in the movie, it shows the marquee outside of I think Jacob Tremblay's school in the establishing shot, and it says Halloween haunt 10:30. Welcome parents and STDs. For students.
Yeah.
That stood out to me. I was like, no. I was like, did Bart Simpson fuck with this sign to make it say STDs,
Yeah, I saw that too.
Well, Ben, with all that being said, we did our questions, we did all that stuff. If anybody out there in the audience, if you liked hearing Ben and I talk, not about this movie, but just in general, you can listen to our episodes on the other 3 Shane Black movies that are over on Patreon. Patreon.com/Cinemodities. They're spread out. I mean, God, Jesus Christ, we did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang like a year and a half ago or something, right?
Oh, it was very early.
Yeah, that was one of the movies where you were like, I really want to talk about this movie. And I was like, I don't think I like it, and ended up really liking it, you know? Big Gay Perry. But yeah, you can find all those, so Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Iron Man 3, and The Nice Guys over on Patreon, along with a whole slew of other episodes and discussions and stuff like that. Ben, anything you want to say about the Patreon?
It's a good time. We appreciate the support, and
it is a good time.
We'll appreciate it even more if you pay us even more. So
yes, you can make requests. The
Yeah.
Cable
Yeah,
Guy,
you can-
speaking of which, was a request from one of our fans that ended up being a very interesting movie and discussion.
absolutely, you can actually. It's I don't know, right? Is it like a direct relationship, or is it like an exponential relationship? Like the more money they pay, the more we appreciate it.
I think it might be exponential.
There you go. Look at that.
Well, maybe the two things are conflated because we will greatly appreciate the money you give us. But if you pick good movies, we're gonna love you even more. You know,
That's totally true. Totally. Pick good movies.
I mean, you know, there
Or at
is
least
the
movies
thing,
that are fun to talk about.
like Joseph Michael. He's given us a good bit of money. He's a big supporter of ours, but he hasn't picked the greatest movies. I mean, Artemis Fowl. Oh God, you know.
But that dude's a genius or a super spy or something, whatever the fuck he calls himself.
Are you talking about Artemis Fowl? Is he
Yeah.
smart?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you know that because he's smart or because the movie told you?
Because the movie told me.
I think that's a running joke in that episode. That came out a long time. I have not listened to that. I will never. I'm actually laughing now. I remember, I'm pretty sure in the Artemis Fowl episode, I go, Ben, it's a bad sign when Josh Gad is the best part about your movie.
Yeah. You did say that.
Oh, man. But yes, everybody come check out the Patreon. You know, you can support the podcast, get access to even more episodes. We do 3 episodes a month. We go through Adventure Time, every episode in order in a row. We're on season 3 now of Adventure Time. That's really cool. So, Ben, then if, of course, harass us at cinemodities@gmail.com if you want to yell at us about The Predator or how stupid this movie is or anything like that. Ben, any final thoughts from you?
Can I have that time back?
Hey, this wasn't like a 3-hour episode.
No,
or anything,
not from the episode, from the movie.
Oh, from the movie.
Sorry.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah, sorry.
No, I mean we should probably start a petition.
We got to sell Broom Chocolates to try to get that time back.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that going to be a new rating for movies? This is like a 13 Broom Chocolate movie.
Now, Eileen, what do you think about when you think about brooms?
I don't know.
Witches.
Witches,
Exactly. The Broom Shakalaka is like magic. Which is exactly what you'll be saying when you see how it handles interior decorating. Now, if you'll just follow me over here.
Come on, Danny. No, we're done. We're going to the hospital. Come on.
No, I need to sell 2,550 brooms.
Why? What's so important about that number?
The average American life expectancy is 77 years, 0.97. That's 11,220 days. I need to sell 2,550 brooms. That's the equivalent of one life. That's the equivalent of my little daughter's life. Little Jenny Baffa. She was 12 years old when she died. She was decapitated.
Holy.
Not by the Broom Shakalaka.
Okay.
By jihadists.
Mm-hmm.
Those were her ashes you spread earlier.
Gross.
My little Jenny.
Come on, Danny. Come on.
Yeah, come on, Danny, let's go.
Come on, you said the broom shakalaka is really great for interior decorating.
Yes.
Eileen?
Yes, it's got a paint roller, a stud finder, and a decoupage smoother.
Oh, stud finder. I wish I had one of those at the bar last night.
What are you doing?
I'm saving a life.
Not his.
Well, obviously, yeah.
An 11-minute segment is infinitely better than The Predator. Broom Shakalaka is infinitely better than The Predator.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess then the only question becomes, which I have to say I don't really have a good answer to, how do we end this episode? What are we going to play in reverse? I mean, is there any music in this movie? I mean, what do we do, right? I have nothing written down. I was not prepared for this part.
Something about Asperger's.
Oh. Opening credits music. I mean, that's usually like the easy go-to. Was there even opening credits music?
I don't know.
Wasn't the opening credits like a ship crashing or something like that?
Yeah. Oh, do the ship crashing sound backwards. Let's do that.
Okay, that's easy. I like that. Well, everybody, sorry, Shane Black, that we had to end this way for you, and sorry you had to end this way. But we want you to make another movie, you know? Make The Nicer Guys. I was about to say Nice Guys too. It'd be called The Nicer Guys, right?
Definitely. Make Nicer Guys and then make Nicer Guys too.
What about The Nice Girls? The sequel with gender swapped. What do you think about that?
Wasn't that supposed to be a TV show?
That was. I think we actually talked about that a little bit. We should get that going. Make it a movie. The Nicer Girls. The Nice Girls. Oh God, what a bummer.